Hello, my name is Maciek Luszyński, and today we'll be talking about metaphors in language. So first off, let's move on to the first slide. We'll take a look at language of metaphors and how they structure our life and language, and we'll focus mostly on the language of emotions because today it's Valentine's Day, and in fact, that's why language of emotions, feelings, and love is going to be our primary subject today. So without much further ado, let's take a look at the structure of today's presentation. And first, we'll try to answer the question, what is a metaphor? Then we'll move on to the next part. We'll see why we need metaphors in language. And then in part 3, which by the way is going to be the most extensive part of today's presentation, we'll take a look at examples from language of love, feelings, and emotions. And finally, we'll take a look at how we can use metaphors on a daily basis. Based on all the information you will take a look at today, you will see how you can use that knowledge in your daily language. All right, so let's move on to part 1. What is a metaphor? So according to George Lakoff and Mark Johnson, the essence of metaphor is understanding and experiencing one kind of thing in terms of another. Now, what does it mean? Well, in practice, it means that very often when we speak about one thing, in fact, we use vocabulary which could be used to speak about another thing. To give you an example, let's take a look at this metaphor. Life is a journey. So, in fact, in our daily language, when we speak about life, we use the same language that we could use when we describe a journey or a road. Now, we're going to take a look at some examples just to make it more visual. So, there we go. Life is a journey. This is a metaphor. Now let's take a look at some sentences from our daily language which illustrate this particular metaphor. Sentence 1 goes something like, he got a head start in life. Sentence 2 is, I'm at a crossroads in my life. And sentence 3 is, he's gone through a lot in life. So basically, when you have a head start in life, it means that you're somehow at an advantage, the position, you're at an advantage. When you're at a crossroads, this means that you have to make a difficult choice. And if you've gone through a lot in his life, you've had a lot of experiences in your life. So basically, as you see, a head start, at a crossroads, and gone through are in fact phrases which describe a journey or a road, but we use them on a daily basis when we describe life. This is the first metaphor which illustrates the entire issue of those metaphors. And let's take a look at the first task. We've got this sentence, argument is. Now, basically, it illustrates a metaphor in our language. When we speak about arguments, when we quarrel with people, we use vocabulary which is, and the question is to you, which is the same as when we describe flowers, dance, or war. I would like you to suggest which answer do you think is the correct one. Absolutely. Sometimes people, when they argue, they talk in terms of flowers, dancing, and war. I mean, obviously, I'm joking here. Vocabulary that you use is, in fact, the same as vocabulary that you use when you speak about war. So argument is war in our daily language. And the first task here, when it comes to this particular metaphor, is this one. Oh, sorry. In those sentences, there are words in green, and from those words in green, vowels have been removed. So basically, in order to see what kind of language we use on a daily basis to speak about arguments, I would like you to put back the missing vowels into those words. So your claims are something. Something every weak point in my argument. Something all my arguments. Just put the number and the word that you think should go there. Alright, attacked. I see some suggestions here. Indefensible, absolutely. shutting down. Very good. All right, so that's it. We're going to take a look at the answers now. So your claims are indefensible. That's number one. He attacked every weak point in my argument, and he shot down all my arguments. Absolutely. So all your answers were correct. This slide just shows that, in fact, what you thought was right is, in fact, right. Now, the next slide is an example of a non-existent metaphor. Argument is done. So just came up with those sentences to illustrate the language that actually does not function in what we speak on a daily basis. So if argument was a dance, we could say I zigzagged across his argumentation, which in fact does not make sense, and it would be very difficult to understand what it is. We stepped and slid his arguments. Again, stepping and sliding are things characteristic of dancing, but when it comes to arguments, it's quite difficult to imagine what they would mean. And he clapped his point. That's another thing. I mean, obviously, you might imagine a person who is very lively and while making his or her point keeps clapping his or her hands, and that's how the person makes the point. So this would make more sense. However, it's something that's very non-standard and difficult to understand in our culture. All right, so that was an example of a non-existent metaphor. So as you see, metaphors are not just part of poetry and artistic prose, but in fact, they are part of our daily language. And metaphors structure our understanding and experience. So basically, thanks to them, we have got some mental concepts which we function by, which we live by. And that was the first part of the presentation. In the second part of our presentation, we'll take a brief look at why we need metaphors. And in fact, there are three explanations. Metaphors make language more compact, so instead of offering lengthy explanations, you can just come up with a short phrase which perfectly illustrates what you want to communicate. Metaphors make language clearer and lively. That's, I guess, self-explanatory. That's why metaphors are very common in poetry. And finally, metaphors make it easier to express the abstracts. And in fact, it's this last thing that we'll be focusing on in the next part, because in fact emotions are abstract, and thanks to metaphors we can communicate them better. So without much further ado, let's move on to part 3, which, as I said, is going to be the most extensive part, with most examples and the largest number of different exercises. All right. So, language of love, feelings, and emotions. The question is, what is love? Baby, don't hurt me no more. Right, it's a question that people have been trying to answer for a very long time, and there is no one good answer. But let's try to come up with metaphors which function in our language. So, how do you think? In our language, how do we speak about love? Do we speak about love as if love is physical force, maybe a patient, maybe madness, maybe magic, or maybe war? And this is a task for you. Decide which metaphor do you think, or which metaphors do you think function in our daily language? Physical force, a patient, maybe madness, magic, or war? Alright, see different answers. War and magic. Oh, some people are suggesting that all the answers are in fact okay. Alright, CD, that is madness and magic. War. Alright, let's take a look. So basically, love is everything. Absolutely. The thing is that when we speak about love, we focus on different aspects of this particular feeling. So the language that we use reflects those different experiences of love that we have. And in a moment, we're going to take a look at some examples which actually illustrate all of these metaphors. So the first metaphor here in this particular set about love is that love is physical force. As you see, there are 3 sentences here, out of which 3 words have been removed. The words removed are in green above those sentences, and the task for you is to put them back where they belong. So the words missing are electricity, sparks, and gravitated. Now, just put the number of the sentence and the word which has been removed. Let's see what the answers should be. Alright, I see some answers are on the way. Okay. Alright. I could feel. Alright, I see I could feel electricity. Yeah, that's right. There were sparks. Alright. Absolutely. I see lots of answers coming. Let's take a look at oh, I see more answers are on the way. Absolutely. Second gap gravitated. That's right. 3B. That's 3. There were sparks. Absolutely. Let's take a look. Let's take a look at the answers. And I could feel electricity between us. That's sentence 1. Absolutely. They gravitated to each other immediately. And there were sparks. So the forces present in those examples are 2 fundamental forces here. That would be electromagnetic force and gravity. So absolutely, as you see, when we describe love, in fact, these are the same words we could use to describe physical force: electricity, gravitated, sparks, etc. Now, another metaphor that we're going to take a look at is love is a patient. And this time, again, it's quite similar to one of the previous tasks, and in those sentences, words in green don't have vowels in them. So the task is the same as previously, just put back the missing vowels to see how we speak about love. All right, I see, oh, there are lots of answers and lots of good answers. Lots of answers which are not so good, but quite interesting. Joking. Lots of good answers. All right, really good shape. Absolutely. And sick. That's right. On its last legs. That's right. I see you've got lots of ideas about that. Good. All right. Okay, so let's take a look at what answers that should be. So this is a sick relationship, absolutely. So a relationship can be sick, a person can be sick. A patient is usually a sick person. The relationship is in really good shape. That's right. So a patient can be in good health. That would mean that the patient is in really good shape. And the same could be spoken about relationships, love. Now the marriage is on its last legs. That means that the marriage is barely able to stand. So sometimes when people are very ill, they're barely able to stand, and that's the metaphor we use to describe marriage, love, or any other kind of relationship here that's in very bad shape. Okay, let's move on, because we've got some more metaphors on the way. Love is madness this time. Now, the task is a little bit different because this time, in those sentences, those phrases and words in green are not exactly where they should be. They've been mixed up. So the task for you is to put those phrases and words in green back where they belong. They don't belong to the sentences as they are right now. So I'm gone mad over her. It's not exactly the right answer. He drives her is not a good sentence either. She crazy about me out of my mind. That kind of sounds pretty interesting. However, it's not a good sentence. She crazy about me out of my mind. Cool. All right, so see lots of answers coming. Crazy about. It's crazy about her. And then she drives. All right, lots of answers. Okay. Well, I'm really impressed by the number of answers here and by the number of good answers. And okay, some more answers are coming. That's fantastic. Fantastic. So, all right. Let's take a look at what the answers really are. So, I'm crazy about her. He's gone mad over her. and she drives me out of my mind. Be crazy about something. He's gone mad over her. Everything describes, in fact, madness. If something drives you out of your mind, etc., really you're describing madness rather than love. But since love is madness, this is how language functions. All right, let's move on because we've got some more metaphors on the way. And the next one is love is magic. Now, this one is a pretty difficult task, I would say, because the words that you've got next to those sentences are not in the correct form. So basically, instead of a noun, you might need a verb. Instead of another noun, you might need an adjective, etc. And this might be pretty challenging, but let's have a look at that. She had me hypnotist. So sometimes this might happen, you know, when somebody gets you a hypnotist, but it's not exactly this. Hypnotized, absolutely. She had me hypnotized. That's right. And then we've got some right, hypnotized, and then trance. This trance is a little bit tricky. It's not one of those common words that you use very often, but still you can use it. It's kind of like to put somebody in the state of trance. And the same applies to number 3. It's kind of like using magic to create a trance-like state in somebody. Right, this one is tricky. Transcendent. That's quite interesting. That's quite interesting. All right. Without keeping you too much, without answers, let's take a look at what they are. So love is magic. She had me hypnotized, and some of you guessed it correctly. This is exactly it. I was entranced by her. That's sentence 2, and this verb basically means to put somebody in a trance-like state. So if something entrances you, kind of like in trance. She's bewitching, so it's kind of like using witchcraft in order to put somebody under somebody else's spell. I put a spell on you. Basically, there's a song, I put a spell on you because you're mine. So again, the idea of magic is also present in the language of love, in a way. Okay, let's move on to the next metaphor, and this is love is war. Now, in this task, the words, not the words, but the letters in black actually are where they should be, but the letters in green have been mixed up. They are within the same word, so you don't have to take, for example, the letter I from sentence 1 and put it in sentence 3. No, they are within the same words, within the same sentences. You just have to unjumble those letters to make sure that you come up with expressions which show that love is war, in fact. All right, I see some answers are coming again. All right. Okay. All right, that's fantastic, because some of you have already solved all 3 of them, not just 1, not just 2, but all of them. Fantastic, great, lots of answers, and some more answers are coming. That's really good. Really, I'm so surprised and positively surprised by the number of good answers. That's really good. Okay. So let's take a look at what the answers are. So she is besieged by suitors. Now, 2 explanations. The word suitor describes a person who attempts to marry a woman. So to use the Polish language, really, there is this word abstrakcyjne, which I think is pretty close to that one. Now, she is besieged. That basically means to surround a place with lots of armed forces. So you can imagine the medieval castle surrounded by knights and horses, etc. Now he is slowly gaining ground with her, so moving forward in a way. So you can imagine the front line, which is gaining ground, so soldiers are moving forward. And he made an ally of her mother. So ally is somebody who cooperates with you, basically. If you remember World War II, there were allies and fighting against the Axis. So allies, and to make an ally of somebody. And besiege is to literally surround with armed forces. So it's not just a surround, but it has to be a special type of people surrounding. These have to be soldiers, knights, etc. All right, let's move on. Let's move on. Now, here, I mean, this slide just shows that metaphors highlight different aspects of how we experience love. In fact, how we experience lots of other things, and we are just we have just chosen love as an example of that particular language phenomenon. And the spectrum, as you see, is pretty wide, because you can speak of love in terms of magic, you can speak of love in terms of war, and everything is correct, everything is understandable. It just shows that we experience the same thing in lots of different ways, and our language reflects the way we experience that. Sometimes it's magical, sometimes it's very warlike. Let's move on, because there are some other metaphors which we'll take a look at. And this is a brief introduction to this, that eyes are the reflection of your soul. This is a very commonly used phrase, that in somebody's eyes you can see what the person is really like. However, in our daily language, eyes are a bit more than that. They are not just the reflection of your soul, but in fact, eyes are containers for the emotions. So eyes function as containers for the emotions. And in this task, what you need to do is, again, to take a look at the phrases and words in green, because they've been removed from the original sentences, they've been mixed up a little bit, and you've got to put them back where they belong, basically. So I could see fear not out of his eyes. His eyes were in anger, which is not really the case. All right, I see some answers are coming. I could see fear in his eyes, all right. And then some of you have got suggestions about two already. Oh, some of you have done everything already, which is very good. Okay, lots of answers coming. Really, lots and lots of answers. Every second, these are like 3 answers that I see, and that's fantastic. All right. Thank you. Thank you for your answers, really. Absolutely. I'm really impressed. Really impressed. Now let's take a look at the answers here. So I could see fear in his eyes. So eyes, and within those eyes we've got fear. His eyes were filled with anger. So you can fill a container with something, but also emotions can fill your eyes. So your eyes were filled with anger. She couldn't get fear out of her eyes. So you can get things out of containers, put them somewhere, put them into those containers, and as you see, you can take fear out of somebody's eyes as well. All right, let's move on. Now, not just eyes, but the entire life functions as a container in the language that we use on a daily basis. And this time, the task is a little bit different from the previous ones, because not just vowels, but different letters, vowels and consonants have been removed from those words. The task is just to put them back to make sure that those sentences illustrate the metaphor, life is a container. And again, lots of answers are coming. Really, lots and lots of answers. I am deluged by answers, which I'm very happy about. All right, lots of good answers. Get the most out of, absolutely. Full and empty, that's right. Absolutely. Good. That's really, really amazing. I mean, how many answers and how many good answers you're offering. Okay. Again, let's take a look at the next slide, which will show you what the answers are here. And this is it. I've had a full life. So again, life, container, can be full. On the other hand, it can be empty, as is the case in sentence 2. His life is empty. and get the most out of life. So again, life is a kind of container with lots of things in it, and if you get the most out of life, basically you take all the things that life has to offer in it that are, in a way, metaphorically enclosed in life, inside life as a container. All right. Now, let's move on to another metaphor, which is that emotional effect is in fact physical contact. So sometimes when we speak about emotions, the words we use are the ones which describe physical contact. Again, those sentences don't have all the words in them. The words are in green above those sentences, so the task is just to put them back where they belong. And again, I see lots of answers coming. Lots and lots of answers. Struck and hit and impression. All right. That's fantastic. I just love the way you participate in that, because I see that lots and lots of you have got really nice ideas about that, and that's really good. That's really nice. Okay, lots of answers. Some of you even rewrite the entire sentences, which is even better because that's a better way of memorizing the entire sentence. So, thank you, thank you. All right, let's take a look at the answers. So his father's death hit him hard. So we've got this contact, hitting. I was struck by his sincerity. So as you see, this works both ways. Something hits you, and then you are struck by that. So when you've got an active sentence, it's something hitting you, and then when you want to use a passive sentence, you go for the word strike. So I was struck by his sincerity. And finally, the last sentence is that really made an impression on me. So impression is like literally when you touch something, when you press it, and after pressing there is a mark left. So this is an impression. So all those words describe physical contact, and your answers were right answers, and you can see that you've got lots of good ideas in those sentences. All right. Now, another type of metaphors is a little bit different, because so far we've been talking about metaphors which kind of show you that one thing can be expressed in terms of another thing. It's quite the same here, but you express those metaphors in terms of directional metaphors. They are called orientational metaphors, to be precise, and they just say that happy is up, good is up, sad is down, and bad is down. This is obviously a small sample of orientational metaphors. There are lots of other metaphors which function along the same lines, but we'll see in a moment that whenever we use language on a daily basis, whatever is good or happy is somehow connected with the direction which goes up or upwards, or all the things which are bad are in fact down. That's why we go to heaven, which is up, and sometimes go to hell, which is in fact down. All right, all right. Okay, I see that some of you are experiencing some technical difficulties, that there is no sound. Is it really the case? Can you hear me? Houston, do you hear me? Yes, all right, good, good. So Houston, we don't have a problem. It's a temporary problem. Yeah, lots of yeses, lots of okays, which is good. So just double check your connection, double check it just to make sure that everything is okay. Good. So let's move on to see some examples of orientational metaphors. Now, happy is up. Those three sentences, in fact, should illustrate that metaphor, that happy is up. So out of those three suggestions here within those words, I would like you to pick one word which illustrates the metaphor, that happy is up. So let's take a look at some of your suggestions. Do you think that it's I'm feeling sideways, maybe I'm feeling backwards, or rather, maybe it's I'm feeling up, just to illustrate this, I'm feeling up? That's pretty easy. I see some answers are coming. All right, absolutely. Up, up. And then, yeah, I see some suggestions about number two. Good suggestions. And three as well. And again, some of you are offering answers to all three sentences at once, which is great as well. All right. I see lots of answers. Again, lots and lots of good answers. All right. So obviously, I mean, this is more for fun here because some sentences really would not make sense if you told somebody I'm feeling sideways. Well, I'm just wondering how that would be understood. Possibly you would have to explain what you really mean. So let's take a look at the answers here. I'm feeling up. Absolutely. My spirits rose. If something rises, like a sunrise, it goes up, so your spirits rise, you feel happier. And thinking about it always gives me a lift. Lift, no lift, this thing that takes you upstairs in a tall building. And obviously you use the word lift rather than elevator. You don't say that thinking about it always gives me an elevator. Maybe later, maybe language will develop in this direction, but so far it's a lift. That's right. And so, yep, lift is actually an elevator, lift elevator. It will take you up in a tall building. All right, so let's move on to another metaphor. Just to contrast feeling happy with feeling sad, let's take a look at another orientational metaphor, that sad is down. Again, three sentences, three suggestions. I would like you to choose the word which illustrates that metaphor, that sad is down. Yeah, depressed. Some countries are permanently depressed, like the Netherlands, for example. But hopefully something, lots of things in the Netherlands that give you a lift. All right. I'm feeling across, I'm feeling diagonally. That would be quite interesting. I mean, some of those sentences obviously don't make sense, but it's just interesting to see that really they don't exist in language. Like, I'm feeling across. What would that mean? How would you be feeling? Or I'm feeling diagonally, which again would be quite difficult to understand. All right, let's take. I see lots of answers, and again, lots of good answers. Now, let's take a look at what these sentences should look like. And there we go. I'm feeling down. Obviously, this is a very universal metaphor. It functions across lots and lots of cultures. So in Polish and in lots of other languages, the same imagery is used to say that, bad, sad is down. So I'm feeling down. I'm depressed. Again, that would imply downward movement, and my spirits sank, just like ships might sink, like the Titanic sank after hitting an iceberg. Your spirits may sink as well. So my spirits sank, they went down to the bottom of the ocean. All right, so I'm feeling down, I'm depressed, my spirits sank. Everything means everything is within this metaphor, sad is down. Another metaphor we're going to take a look at is good is up. So things are looking sideways, up, across. This time, two sentences, again, three choices, and just come up with the sentences which illustrate that metaphor, that good is in fact up. So things are looking sideways, up, across. The quality of life is high, outwards, inwards. Again, that's easy peasy, I see. Lots of good answers. And really, I mean, they just keep coming and coming. That's really good. So the quality of life is higher. And again, I see some of you typing the entire sentence, which is very good. Maybe you're not able to give the answer as fast, but you're definitely more likely to memorize the entire sentence better. All right, let's take a look. Let's take a look at the answers here. So things are looking up. That's a phrasal verb, which means that things are improving. The quality of life is high. Well, I guess this is self-explanatory, doesn't call for any additional explanation. So the quality of life is high. Things are looking up. Things are improving. So don't be feeling down when things are looking up. Things are looking up. Some positive changes taking place. All right. Oh yeah, and I see a very nice suggestion that the letter U suggests a smile. Absolutely, the letter U does look like a smiling face, and that's a very nice connection between up and the letter U. Nice. Okay, let's move on to the next slide. And this time it's just to contrast good feelings with bad feelings. Bad is down. Bad is down. And again, some expressions which have to illustrate that particular metaphor. Bad is down. Three sentences, three suggestions, and only one of them is okay in terms of that metaphor. Bad is down. Yeah, low. Through. Since last year, it's been going through. I mean, that that's quite okay. However, it's not within the metaphor bad is down, so just make sure that your choices are somehow connected with being down, or low. All right, downhill. That's right. Downhill, low, south. All right, yeah. All right, good, good. Lots of good answers. Lots and lots of them, and more answers are coming. That's fantastic. Okay, let's take a look at the next slide, which will give us the sentences. So since last year, it's been going downhill. So downhill, basically it's down, so it's bad. Things are at an all-time low. Absolutely. And this last sentence, I see some nice suggestions that maybe east would be better. Uh, in some context, definitely going east would indicate the deterioration of a situation. However, south is down, and this last sentence, all the stock market indexes went south today, is the right one. However, I see your point when it comes to east. In a political context, absolutely. So when you consider this sentence in a political context, that would definitely be a different direction. Okay, so all the stock market indexes went south today. All right, so as you see, those directions are pretty universally understood across different cultures, really. So things that are up are good, things that are bad are down. And why is it so? Well, there is a physical basis for that, because usually by looking at our posture, at our bodies, we can have some ideas about whether the person is feeling good or bad. So it's usually the case that drooping posture, as is the case with the boy on the left, indicates sadness and depression, and erect posture, as is the case with the woman on the right, indicates positive emotional state. And this is why happiness, health, and life are usually associated with metaphors which go upwards, because those things, that is happiness, health, and life, are good. And if something is good, it's up. So that's the physical basis for those for those orientational metaphors, why good is up and bad is down. Now, what does it all mean? So we are moving smoothly into part four, the last part of today's presentation, because we've taken a look at lots of examples of metaphors in language, primarily from the department of love, feelings, and emotions. But what does it all mean? How can we use that knowledge on a daily basis? Well, metaphors are empowering. They give you power to create. First off, you know that you can think of various concepts in a large number of ways. Not just to think, but to speak about those concepts in lots and lots of ways. Sometimes the way you perceive something doesn't have to be very standard. It doesn't have to function within a universally accepted structure within a society, for example. You can have your own ideas about things. So you can use language which describes your ideas, which describes the way you experience and understand something. And as an extension of that, see that metaphors allow you to create your own personalized language, because the way you understand something influences the way you describe it, influences your word choice to speak about that particular thing. we saw it when we're looking at the example of love, that sometimes it's magic, sometimes it's war. But obviously, we have not looked at all possible ways of understanding love. So let's take a look at this. This time, the task is not to come up with the phrases to illustrate a metaphor, but rather to look at the phrases offered here and guess what metaphor they belong to. Love is what? Let's take a look at those examples. We are at a crossroads. When you describe a relationship, love, you might say something like that. We're at a crossroads. Difficult decision to make. We can't turn back now. It's the idea of turning back. This relationship is a dead-end street, or it's been a long, bumpy road. Let's try to guess. What metaphor is that? I see some answers coming. Traffic. All right, close, very close. Journey. All right, a road. Absolutely, absolutely. Lots of ideas. Okay. Okay, so at a crossroads, turn back, dead-end street, long, bumpy road, street. Okay, lots of interesting answers, and I must say, I see some interesting facts about your observations concerning language. Now, let's take a look at what metaphor this is. Love is a journey. So, all those words, road, journey, etc., are within this metaphor. So as you see, there is another way of looking at love. Apart from being magic, madness, love, and lots of other things, it could be a journey as well. Now, to give you another example, which is not directly connected with emotions, but with ideas, so again, abstract things. And the task is similar as previously. So those sentences illustrate some metaphor, but you don't know what metaphor this is, and let's try to guess. So all this paper has in it are raw facts, half-baked ideas, and warmed-over theories. This argument smells fishy. He devoured the book. Okay, I see cooking. Very close. It's in fact very, very close to that. Raw facts. Raw. The word raw means something that has not been prepared, like raw fish in sushi. Half-baked, well, not entirely baked, so not fully complete. Warmed over, it's kind of like microwaved. See, preparation. So some of your ideas, it's cooking preparation. Very close. Something smells fishy. I see some good answers, and it's Tomasz who says food. And let's take a look at that. Food. Absolutely. So ideas are food. You can devour a book, which means that you eat up the entire book because you like those ideas so much as they were food, in fact. And all those words devoured of phrases, smells fishy, raw facts, half-baked ideas, warmed-over theories, in fact, are directly taken from the Department of Food, because that's how you describe food. And as you see, they can be transposed elsewhere. Here, we speak about ideas. All right. And we are moving to, we're slowly finishing today's webinar. And one final thought, which I would like to leave you with, is that now you can actually create your own metaphors. So now when you use language, you see how flexible it is. That when you describe something, especially something complicated, something quite abstract, you might use lots of interesting word combinations. You might not find them in newspapers, you might not find them in dictionaries, but you should know that you are empowered to create your own language. Just make sure it's understandable. Just make sure it's within some acceptable frameworks that people to whom you speak understand what you're talking about. But remember that your language might be as flexible as possible, and just feel free to use it your way. Thank you for your attention, guys. And now it over to Anya.